Dr. Sarah Kim stared at the computer screen in her laboratory. The numbers made no sense. The sun's energy readings were wrong. Very wrong. She had checked the data 3 times, but the results stayed the same. Earth's star was dying much faster than it should. Sarah pushed her glasses up and rubbed her tired eyes. She had been working for 18 hours straight. The other scientists at the Seoul Space Research Center had gone home, but she could not leave. These readings meant something terrible was happening. The sun should burn for billions more years, but according to her instruments, it would collapse in less than 2 years. Something was making it age rapidly. Something that should not exist. Commander Jin Park walked into the laboratory. His military uniform was clean and pressed, but his face showed worry. Sarah had called him an hour ago with urgent news. "What did you find?" Jin asked. Sarah turned her screen toward him. "The sun is being attacked." Jin frowned. "Attacked? By what?" I don't know yet. But look at these energy patterns." Sarah pointed to strange waves on her monitor. "Something is pulling energy from the sun's core. It's artificial, not natural." Jin studied the data. He was not a scientist, but he understood danger when he saw it. "How long do we have?" 22 months. Maybe less." The commander's face went pale. 22 months to save 8 billion people. It seemed impossible. "Have you told anyone else?" Jin asked. "Not yet. I wanted to be sure first. We need to contact the Galactic Council. They will help us." Sarah nodded. For 50 years, Earth had known about the alien civilizations that controlled the galaxy. The Council was made of 7 different species. They kept peace between the stars and helped younger races develop. At least, that's what Earth's leaders believed. Ambassador Chen Wei received the emergency call at midnight. She dressed quickly and drove to the government building in Beijing. Sarah's data was already waiting on her desk when she arrived. Chen read the report twice. Then she picked up the secure communication device that connected Earth to the Council's main station. The device was a gift from the aliens when first contact was made. It could send messages across the galaxy in minutes. Galactic Council. "This is Earth Representative Chen Wei. We have an emergency that requires immediate assistance." She spoke into the device. The response came 3 hours later. A cold, mechanical voice filled the room. It belonged to Arbiter Zekthor, leader of the Veltari species and head of the Council. "Earth vessel Chen Wei, your message has been received. The Council will review your situation." Chen waited for more information, but the communication ended. She tried to call again, but there was no answer. Days passed. Sarah's readings got worse. The sun was dying even faster now. Jin began preparing Earth's military forces, though he wasn't sure what they were preparing for. Chen sent message after message to the Council, but got only short replies that said, "Under review." 2 weeks after the first contact, Sarah made a horrible discovery. She was scanning deep space for any clues about what was attacking their sun. Her instruments picked up a strange object hidden behind the moon. The object was massive, bigger than any space station Earth had ever built. It was clearly alien technology, and it was pointed directly at the sun. Energy beams too small to see with normal telescopes were shooting from the device into their star. Sarah called Jin immediately. Within hours, Earth's best telescopes were focused on the alien machine. The truth was clear. Someone was deliberately killing Earth's sun. "Why would they do this?" Jin asked as he looked at the images. "I don't know," Sarah replied. "But we need to tell the Council about this device. They have to stop it." Chen's next message to the Council was desperate. She explained about the hidden machine and begged for help. The response came quickly this time. "Earth vessel Chen Wei, the Council is aware of all devices in your system. No assistance will be provided." The words hit Chen like ice water. The Council knew about the machine. They knew Earth was dying, and they were not going to help. Jin's military intelligence team had been quietly recording all communications with the Council. They used every trick they knew to break into the Council's networks. What they found was worse than anyone imagined. The recordings were clear. The Council had voted to eliminate humanity. They called humans too aggressive and unpredictable. The machine behind the moon was their weapon. They had been planning Earth's destruction for years. They think we're dangerous, Jin told Sarah and Chen as they listened to the alien voices discussing Earth's fate. They want us gone before we become a threat. On the recordings, different alien voices debated humanity's future. Some wanted to relocate humans to prison planets. Others suggested simply destroying Earth quickly. The Arbiter Zekthor had the final word. Humans have too much potential for chaos. They fight among themselves constantly. If they reach the stars, they will bring war to peaceful worlds. Better to let them die naturally on their dying world. Sarah felt sick as she listened. The aliens had studied humanity for decades. They had decided that humans were too violent, too unpredictable, too dangerous to live. They don't understand us at all, Chen said quietly. No, Jin agreed. They see our conflicts and think we're monsters. They don't see how we come together when things get bad. They don't understand that fighting makes us stronger. Sarah looked at her friends. Sarah, the scientist, Jin, the soldier, Chen, the diplomat. 3 people who would never have worked together in normal times. But these were not normal times. So what do we do? Sarah asked. Jin's voice was steady and determined. We survive. We prove them wrong. And we make sure they never do this to anyone else. Chen nodded. If they want to see how dangerous humans can be, maybe it's time to show them. As Earth's sun continued to die, something else began to awaken. In laboratories around the world, scientists like Sarah were making strange discoveries. In military bases, soldiers like Jin were developing new abilities. In government offices, leaders like Chen were finding strength they never knew they had. The aliens had made one terrible mistake. They had given humanity something it had never truly had before. A common enemy. A reason for every human on Earth to work together. The Council thought they were watching a species die quietly. Instead, they were about to witness something they had never seen before. Humanity pushed to its absolute limit. And humanity, unlike any other species in the galaxy, grew stronger under pressure. The real war was about to begin. Dr. Sarah Kim had not slept in 3 days. She did not need sleep anymore, which scared her more than Earth's dying sun. Something was happening to her mind. She could process data faster than any computer. Complex mathematical problems that used to take hours now solved themselves in seconds inside her head. She was not the only one changing. Commander Jin Park stood in the war room, looking at tactical displays from around the world. His mind could track 1,000 different military operations at once. He saw patterns in troop movements that no human should be able to understand. When he gave orders, his soldiers moved with perfect coordination, as if they shared his thoughts. Sir, we've lost contact with the Australian defense grid, reported Lieutenant Lee Minjun, one of Jin's best pilots. No, we haven't, Jin said without looking at the communication board. They're running silent to avoid the Council's scanning ships. They'll report in exactly 4 minutes and 27 seconds. Minjun stared at his commander. Jin had no way of knowing that information. But 4 minutes and 27 seconds later, Australia reported in exactly as Jin had predicted. These changes were happening everywhere. Dr. Kim's research team had documented thousands of cases across Earth. Humans were developing abilities that should not exist. Enhanced strength, speed, intelligence, and something else. Something that let them work together better than any species in known history. It's in our DNA. Sarah explained to Jin and Chen during their daily meeting. Hidden codes that activate under extreme stress. Our ancestors faced extinction events before: ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcano eruptions. Each time, the survivors developed new abilities. But this is different, Chen said. She could now speak and understand 17 alien languages she had never studied. This is beyond anything in our history. Sarah pulled up genetic scans on her computer. The codes are ancient, older than human civilization. It's like someone designed us to survive impossible situations. Jin studied the data. His enhanced mind immediately saw patterns that Sarah's scientific training had missed. These aren't random mutations. They're too organized, too purposeful. What are you saying? Chen asked. I'm saying someone very smart designed humans to be survivors. And whoever did it knew we might face something like this. Across Earth, humans were working together in ways that amazed even themselves. Language barriers disappeared as people developed the ability to understand each other without words. Scientists in different countries shared knowledge instantly through some kind of mental connection. Engineers solved problems by combining ideas from thousands of minds at once. The Alien Council was starting to notice. On the Council's main station, Arbiter Zekthor studied reports from his surveillance ships. The readings made no sense. Earth's electromagnetic patterns were changing. The planet was generating energy signatures that matched no known technology. Humans are adapting faster than predicted, reported Sub-Arbiter Kethmar, a member of the insectoid Crix species. Our behavioral models are no longer accurate. Impossible, Zekthor replied. Humans are primitive. They cannot change fundamental biology in mere months. But the evidence was overwhelming. Human cities were reorganizing themselves with incredible efficiency. Their industrial output had tripled, despite the chaos of a dying sun. Most disturbing of all, they had stopped fighting among themselves completely. Perhaps we should accelerate the solar collapse, suggested war leader Thexnal of the militaristic Gorth species. Finish this before they develop further. Zekthor considered the option. But accelerating the process would leave obvious traces of Council involvement. Better to let the humans die slowly and naturally. Or so he believed. On Earth, Sarah had made a discovery that changed everything. While scanning the moon for more alien devices, her instruments detected something impossible. The moon itself was artificial. Not a natural satellite, but a massive alien construct covered in rock and ice to hide its true nature. It's a weapon, she told Jin and Chen, the biggest weapon ever built, and it's been watching Earth for millions of years. Jin's tactical mind immediately understood the implications. The device killing our sun is just a small part of it. The whole moon is a weapon system. Who built it? Chen asked. Sarah's enhanced intelligence was already working on that question. The construction techniques don't match any known Council technology. This is older. Much older. And here's the strange part. The weapon systems are designed to respond to human genetic patterns. Our genetic patterns? Jin asked. Specifically, the enhanced patterns we're developing now. It's like the moon is waiting for us to evolve enough to use it. The three leaders looked at each other. The implications were staggering. Someone had placed a massive weapon in Earth's orbit millions of years ago, designed to activate when humans reached a certain level of development. But who? And why? Lieutenant Li Minjun provided the answer 3 days later. While testing one of Earth's few space fighters, he had approached the moon to scan its surface. When he got within 1,000 kilometers, something unexpected happened. His fighter's instruments came alive with activity. Systems he had never seen before activated themselves. Most shocking of all, he could suddenly understand the alien writing that appeared on his screens. Not just read it, but understand it completely, as if it was his native language. The writing told a story. Long ago, there was a race called the Architects. They built most of the technology that the current galactic civilizations used. They created faster than light travel, planetary shields, and weapons that could reshape solar systems. Then, they vanished, leaving their technology behind. But they had not vanished completely. They had hidden themselves in the DNA of a primitive species on a small blue planet. They had scattered their greatest weapons and tools across the galaxy, waiting for their genetic descendants to evolve enough to reclaim their heritage. "We're not just humans," Minjun reported when he returned to Earth. "We're the children of the race that built everything the Council uses. That's why they're afraid of us." Sarah, Jin, and Chen absorbed this information. It explained so much. Why humans were developing impossible abilities. Why ancient weapons responded to their presence. Why the Council was so determined to destroy them. The Council isn't the galaxy's rightful government, Chen realized. They're squatters. They've been using our ancestors' technology, while keeping us trapped on Earth. Jin's military mind was already making plans. If the moon is our weapon, we need to learn how to use it. Not just the moon, Sarah added. According to these records, there are architect installations all over the galaxy. Weapons, tools, entire worlds that will respond to us. The three friends looked out at Earth's dying sun. The Council thought they were watching humanity's end. Instead, they were about to witness the return of the galaxy's true inheritors. Sarah began working to unlock the moon's weapon systems. Jin started organizing Earth's defenses for the war that was coming. Chen prepared diplomatic messages for the many species under Council rule who might welcome liberation. Deep in space, Council surveillance ships detected massive energy surges coming from Earth's moon. Arbiter Zekthor received the reports with growing alarm. "Impossible," he muttered. "Humans cannot access architect technology." The genetic locks were absolute, but the readings did not lie. Something ancient and powerful was awakening near Earth. Something that should have remained buried forever. The Council had made their choice long ago. When the architects vanished, the Council species had claimed their technology and built an empire. They had spent millennia making sure no one could challenge their authority. Now their greatest fear was coming true. The architects' children were awakening. And they were not the primitive, violent species the Council had convinced themselves they were destroying. They were something much worse for the Council's future. They were the rightful heirs to the galaxy. And they were very, very angry. Sarah Kim's hands moved across the alien control panel like she had used it her entire life. The moon's weapon systems were responding to her touch, awakening after millions of years of sleep. Ancient displays showed star maps, energy readings, and weapons that could destroy entire fleets. "Primary cannon is charging," she reported to Jin Park through their mental link. The ability to share thoughts had developed in all the enhanced humans. It made coordination perfect and instantaneous. Jin stood in Earth's new command center, built inside the moon's interior. His tactical mind was connected to every human military unit on the planet and in space. Through his enhanced awareness, he could feel the Council's attack fleet approaching Earth. 47 ships, he announced to his officers. Heavy cruisers and destroyers. They think that's enough to finish us. Lieutenant Lee Minjun was in the pilot seat of humanity's first architect fighter. The ship had been hidden in the moon's hangar bays, waiting for someone with the right genetic code to claim it. Minjun's enhanced abilities let him interface directly with the ship's systems. He could think at the speed of light, react faster than any alien pilot, and coordinate with dozens of other fighters through pure thought. "Energy readings are off the charts, Commander," Minjun reported. "The Council ships don't know what they're flying into." Ambassador Chen Wei was broadcasting on all frequencies, sending messages to every species in the galaxy. Her enhanced linguistic abilities let her speak in perfect dialects of hundreds of alien languages. "People of the galaxy, this is Earth. Today you will see the truth about your Council. They are not your protectors. They are the thieves who stole your freedom. The Council fleet arrived in Earth's solar system, expecting to find a dying world and desperate humans. Instead, they found something that should not exist. The moon had moved. It was no longer in orbit around Earth. Instead, it hung in space between the planet and the approaching fleet. Its rocky surface split open to reveal the massive weapon systems hidden inside. "This is impossible," transmitted Admiral Velkaran of the Council fleet. "Humans do not possess this technology." Sarah's voice answered from the moon's communication array. "You're right. This isn't human technology. It's architect technology. And we are the architect's children, come home at last." The lead council ship opened fire with plasma cannons that could vaporize mountains. The energy beams struck the moon's shields and simply disappeared, absorbed by defensive systems that operated on principles the council did not understand. Sarah smiled as she activated the moon's primary weapon. A beam of pure energy, thinner than a human hair but containing the power of a star, reached across space and touched the council flagship. The massive alien warship simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. Its atoms scattered across the cosmos. "Warning," Sarah broadcast to the remaining council ships. "Leave this system immediately, or share your flagship's fate. I. Like South. ID. ID. Like South." The council fleet did not retreat. They had ruled the galaxy for too long to be frightened by one impossible weapon. They spread out and began their attack, firing everything they had at the moon. Jin Park had been waiting for this moment. Earth's surface erupted with activity as hidden architect installations activated across the planet. Weapon platforms rose from the oceans. Defense grids emerged from mountains. Fighter squadrons launched from bases that had been invisible moments before. Min Jun led the fighter attack, his consciousness merged with his ship's artificial intelligence. He moved through space like a dancer, avoiding enemy fire while his weapons found their targets with perfect accuracy. Behind him, dozens of other human pilots followed his lead, their enhanced minds working together as one vast intelligence. The council pilots were skilled and experienced. They had fought many battles across the galaxy, but they had never faced enemies who could think as fast as their computers, who could predict their moves before they made them, who could coordinate attacks across vast distances without any communication delay. In less than 10 minutes, half the council fleet was destroyed or disabled. The survivors found themselves surrounded by human ships that should not exist, weapons that defied known physics, and enemies who fought with impossible precision. "This is War Leader Thexnal," came a transmission from the Council fleet. "We surrender. We request immediate ceasefire." Jin Park's response was broadcast across the galaxy. "Surrender denied. You came here to commit genocide. You will face the consequences." But Jin did not order the destruction of the remaining ships. Instead, he gave a different command. "Disable their weapons and engines. Take them alive." Sarah's weapon systems reached out with surgical precision, destroying guns and drive systems while leaving life support intact. Within moments, the remainder of the Council fleet was helpless, floating in space and completely at humanity's mercy. Chen Wei's voice filled the communication channels. "Council ships, prepare to be boarded. Your crews will be treated according to the laws of war. Your leaders will face trial for attempted genocide." The boarding operations were swift and efficient. Human soldiers moved through the alien ships with enhanced speed and strength, overwhelming the crews without killing unnecessarily. The Council soldiers had expected to face primitive humans with crude weapons. Instead, they found warriors who moved like ghosts and struck with pinpoint accuracy. Aboard the Council command ship, War Leader Thexnal found himself face-to-face with Commander Jin Park. The alien was twice Jin's size, with armored skin and natural weapons. But when he tried to attack, Jin moved faster than Thexnal's eyes could follow. In seconds, the war leader was on the deck. defeated by a human who should have been helpless against his superior strength. How is this possible? Thexnall gasped. Your council studied us for decades, Jin replied. But you never understood what you were looking at. You saw our wars and called us violent. You saw our competition and called us chaotic. You never realized that everything you feared about us is exactly what makes us strong. The news of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy faster than light. On worlds controlled by the Council, populations that had lived under alien rule for centuries heard an impossible message. Humans, the primitive species that was supposed to die quietly, had defeated a Council fleet and revealed technology that surpassed anything in known space. On the Gorth military world of Kethra Prime, General Korthnok received orders to mobilize the entire Council military against Earth. But as he read the battle reports, doubt crept into his mind. How could humans have hidden such power? How could they have developed such abilities in just months? On the Veltari homeworld, Arbiter Zekthor called an emergency council session. The 7 species that ruled the galaxy gathered in holographic conference, their leaders' faces showing fear for the first time in centuries. The humans have accessed architect installations, Zekthor announced. We always knew this was possible. Now, it has happened. Then we destroy Earth completely, suggested prime geneticist Loxtar of the Skrill species. Burn their world to ash before they can spread. It's too late for that, replied Council historian Merdane of the aquatic Kef people. If they have accessed one architect installation, they can access them all. There are thousands scattered across the galaxy. The truth that the Council had hidden for millennia was finally spoken aloud. The galaxy was full of architect technology. Every major piece of infrastructure, every important weapon, every crucial system had been built by the vanished race. And all of it would respond to their genetic descendants. Humans were not just another species. They were the sleeping owners of everything the Council had built their empire upon. On Earth's moon, Sarah Kim was unlocking databases that contained the history of the galaxy. What she found changed everything. The architects had not vanished. They had evolved beyond physical form, leaving their children to inherit the material universe when they were ready. The Council species had been servants once. When their masters evolved beyond the need for physical empire, the servants had claimed ownership of everything left behind. For millions of years, they had used architect technology while keeping its true nature secret. Now the children had awakened, and they were taking back what was always theirs. Jin Park looked at the star maps showing architect installations across the galaxy, weapons that could destroy stars, shields that could protect entire worlds, technologies that could reshape reality itself. They left us everything we need to fix the galaxy, he told Sarah and Chen. But first, we have to clean up the mess their servants made. The real war was just beginning. And this time, humanity would not be fighting for survival. They would be fighting for justice. The war across the galaxy had been raging for 6 months. Human fleets appeared in star systems that had been under Council control for thousands of years. Ancient architect installations awakened at humanity's touch, revealing weapons and technologies that the Council had kept hidden or forgotten. Commander Jin Park stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Resilience, watching as another Council stronghold fell to human forces. The fortress world of Kethra Prime had seemed impossible to defeat. Its shields could withstand the fire of entire fleets. Its weapons could destroy planets. But when Captain Lee Min-jun's squadron approached the planet, something wonderful happened. The shields recognized the human genetic patterns and simply turned off. The weapons systems switched sides, turning their massive guns on the Council fleet that had been defending the world. It's the same story everywhere we go, reported Dr. Sarah Kim from her position as the fleet's chief technology officer. The architect systems respond to us immediately. The Council has been living in a house that was never really theirs. Jin nodded as he watched Council ships fleeing the system. He felt no joy in the victories. Each battle proved the same point. The galaxy's rulers were frauds who had built their empire on stolen technology. But Jin worried about what humanity was becoming in the process of tearing that empire down. "Status report on liberated worlds," he requested. Sarah called up the data. 47 systems freed so far. No civilian casualties on our side. That was the part that impressed other species the most. Humans fought with devastating efficiency, but they protected the innocent. When human forces liberated a world, they immediately began healing the damage that centuries of council rule had caused. Ambassador Chen Wei was coordinating the political side of the war from Earth. Her enhanced diplomatic abilities let her negotiate with dozens of species at once. Many alien races were abandoning the council and joining humanity's cause. "The Crix Collective has voted to ally with us," Chen reported during the daily strategy meeting. "That gives us control of the manufacturing sectors in the outer spiral. The Kef underwater cities are also considering joining our coalition." "What about the Gorth?" Jin asked. The militaristic Gorth species made up the majority of the Council's armed forces. "Still fighting, but their heart isn't in it anymore," Chen replied. "Their generals are starting to realize they've been used, fighting a war to protect leaders who see them as expendable." The truth was spreading faster than human fleets could travel. Species across the galaxy were learning that their technology, their homes, even their advanced civilizations, were built on architect foundations. The Council had never been the galaxy's rightful rulers. They had been caretakers who decided to become tyrants. On the Veltari homeworld, Arbiter Zekthor was facing the collapse of everything he had built his life around. The Council's military was deserting in large numbers. Their subject species were rebelling. And worst of all, the humans were offering mercy to those who surrendered. "They could destroy us," he said to his advisors. "They have the power to burn every council world to ash. But they don't. They capture our fleets intact. They treat our prisoners well. They even heal the worlds we damaged. Perhaps that is their weakness," suggested War Coordinator Vex Thar. "They are too soft to finish what they started." Zekthor shook his head. "No. That is their strength. Every species in the galaxy is watching this war. They see that humans fight only to free the oppressed, not to become oppressors themselves. That is why our allies keep switching sides." The Arbiter had studied humanity for decades. He had convinced himself that humans were too violent, too chaotic to be trusted with power. Now, he was seeing something that challenged everything he believed. Humans at war were not mindless destroyers. They were precise, purposeful, and merciful to those who deserved mercy. "What do you recommend?" asked Vexthar. "We adapt or we die," Zekthor replied. "The age of the Council is ending. The question is whether we join the new age or get swept away by it." The turning point came at the Battle of Nexus Station. The massive space fortress controlled the main trade routes through the galaxy's core. It was defended by the largest Council fleet ever assembled, over 300 ships with crews from all 7 Council species. Jin Park approached the battle differently than all the others. Instead of attacking immediately, he opened communication channels to every ship in the enemy fleet. "Soldiers of the Council," his message began. "You are brave warriors fighting for leaders who lied to you. They told you humans were a threat to galactic peace. They told you we were violent and chaotic. Look at our actions and judge for yourselves." Images flashed across every screen in the Council fleet. Liberated worlds, where humans were rebuilding damaged cities. Former slaves being relocated to garden worlds. Council prisoners being treated with dignity and respect. Human medical teams healing alien wounded. "We do not fight for conquest," Jin continued. "We fight for justice. We fight to free the galaxy from rulers who see other species as tools to be used. Join us and help us build something better." The response was immediate. Ships began breaking away from the Council formation. First, a few Gorth destroyers, whose crews were tired of dying for leaders who despised them. Then Crick's scout ships whose collective minds had decided the humans were telling the truth. Finally, entire squadrons began switching sides. Within an hour, the Great Council fleet had torn itself apart, not through battle, but through choice. The majority of ships joined the human forces. The remainder retreated to the far edges of the galaxy. Nexus Station itself surrendered without firing a shot. Its architect-built systems recognized human authority and opened their doors to the liberating forces. Captain Min Jun was among the first to board the station. He found something that changed the war's entire meaning. Deep in the station's core was an architect message, left millions of years ago for their genetic descendants. The message was simple but profound. The architects had not disappeared because they were destroyed or driven away. They had evolved beyond the need for physical form, becoming beings of pure consciousness and energy. Before they departed, they had scattered their children among the stars, leaving them to grow and develop until they were ready to inherit the material universe. "They've been watching us," Min Jun reported to Jin and Sarah. "Not interfering, but making sure we survived long enough to reach this point. Every near-extinction event in human history, we survived because they were protecting us." Sarah read through the architect databases with growing amazement. "It's all here. The plans for rebuilding galactic civilization, technologies that can heal damaged worlds, methods for different species to work together instead of fighting." Jin studied the military implications. "And weapons. Weapons that make everything we've used so far look like toys. They left us everything we need to defend the galaxy against any threat." But the most important discovery was philosophical. The architects had faced the same choice that humanity now faced. They could have used their power to dominate the galaxy forever. Instead, they chose to evolve beyond the need for control, trusting their children to do better. That's why they left, Chen realized during a strategy meeting. They reached a level of power where they could have ruled everything forever. But they chose growth over control, evolution over domination. "And now we face the same choice," Jin said quietly. The final council strongholds were falling. Species that had been subjects for millennia were declaring independence. The old order was collapsing, and something new needed to take its place. But what would that new order look like? Humans had the power to impose their will on the entire galaxy. They had weapons that could force compliance from any species. They could become the new rulers, replacing the council with something that looked very different, but worked the same way. "We could build an empire that would last forever," Jin told his senior staff. "We have the technology. We have the military advantage. We have the moral authority that comes from being liberators. But should we?" Sarah asked. "Is that what the architects would want? Is that what we want?" The question would define not just the end of the war, but the future of galactic civilization. Humanity had proven they could destroy the old order. Now they had to prove they could build something better to replace it. The galaxy was watching. And the choice they made would echo across the stars for millions of years to come. Dr. Sarah Kim stood before the greatest assembly in galactic history. Representatives from over 200 species filled the hall of the ancient architect station at the galaxy's center. The war was over. The council had surrendered. Now came the harder task of building peace. Sarah had been chosen as the first chancellor of the new Galactic Confederation, not because she wanted power, but because she had proven that humans could choose wisdom over conquest. Her enhanced intelligence let her understand the needs and concerns of every species in the hall, while her human heart reminded her that power should serve others, not itself. "Friends from across the stars," she began, her words translated instantly into hundreds of languages. "We gather here not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals who choose to work together." In the audience, Former council members sat next to species that had been their subjects for millennia. The Veltari arbiter Zekthor had asked for the right to speak. Many thought he should be executed for his role in trying to destroy Earth. Sarah had chosen mercy instead. "The human chancellor is correct," Zekthor said when Sarah gave him the floor. "My species ruled through fear and deception. We convinced ourselves that we were bringing order to chaos. Instead, we were preventing growth and freedom. I apologize to every species that suffered under council rule. It was a moment that defined the new age. Instead of revenge, there was redemption. Instead of punishment, there was opportunity for the former rulers to become partners in building something better." Commander Jin Park watched from the security station. He had refused the role of military leader for the new confederation. Instead, he chose to lead the peacekeeping force, an organization dedicated to protecting the innocent rather than conquering territory. "Status report," he requested from his aide. "Lieutenant Colonel Lee Min-jun. All former council military units have been integrated into planetary defense forces," Min-jun reported. "No resistance, no violence. The Gorth especially seem relieved to be defending homes instead of attacking them." Jin smiled. The Gorth were natural warriors, but they had never enjoyed being the council's attack dogs. Now, they used their strength to protect refugee worlds and help rebuild damaged civilizations. Their fierce loyalty had found a worthy cause. Ambassador Chen Wei was coordinating the massive relief efforts across the galaxy. Her diplomatic skills were being used to organize the largest humanitarian mission in galactic history. Damaged worlds were being healed using architect terraforming technology. Species that had been scattered by the Council's policies were being reunited with their homeworlds. "Progress report on the reconstruction projects," Chen announced to the Assembly. 37 worlds have had their ecosystems fully restored," she continued. "The Kef ocean worlds are returning to health after centuries of industrial pollution. The Crix Collective has volunteered to help coordinate resource distribution across the outer spiral. But the most remarkable change was happening in human space. Earth's sun had been fully healed using architect stellar engineering technology. The planet was becoming a center of learning, where species from across the galaxy came to study cooperation and peaceful development. We've received over 1 million applications for the exchange programs, Chen reported. Young beings from hundreds of species want to come to Earth to learn how different cultures can work together. Sarah nodded with satisfaction. This was the dream she had held through all the dark months when Earth was dying. Not just human survival, but a galaxy where every species could grow and thrive. In the deep archives of the Architect Station, Min-jun was making discoveries that pointed toward an even grander future. The evolved architects had not completely disappeared. They existed as beings of pure consciousness, watching over their physical descendants and the galaxy they had once protected. "We've established contact," Min-jun announced during a private meeting with Sarah, Jin, and Chen. "The architects are pleased with our choices. They say we've passed the first test." "First test?" Sarah asked. Min-jun showed them the messages that had come through the quantum consciousness interface. "They've been waiting to see if we would repeat their mistake or learn from it. They conquered the galaxy once, millions of years ago. But they realized that ruling others prevented both ruler and ruled from growing. So they evolved beyond the need for physical power," Jin realized. "Exactly. And they left their children to inherit the galaxy when we were ready. They wanted to see if we would become tyrants or teachers." The messages from the evolved architects contained warnings about future challenges. The galaxy faced threats from beyond its borders. Ancient enemies of the architects were stirring in distant regions of space. And there were other tests waiting for humanity and their allies. But there were also promises. As the galaxy learned to work together, new technologies would be revealed. Abilities that went beyond anything seen so far. The possibility of joining the architects in their evolved state when humanity was ready. "They're offering us a path to transcendence," Sarah said with wonder. "Not just for humans, but for every species that chooses cooperation over conquest. The new Galactic Constitution was signed 6 months after the Confederation's founding. Unlike the Council's system of domination, it was based on principles the architects had learned through millions of years of experience. Every species had the right to develop according to its own nature, as long as it did not prevent others from doing the same. Resources would be shared, based on need, rather than power. Conflicts would be resolved through negotiation and compromise, rather than force. Most importantly, the goal of galactic civilization was no longer control, but growth. Every being in the galaxy would be encouraged to reach their full potential, to explore new ideas, to push the boundaries of what was possible. Sarah stood on the observation deck of the architect's station, looking out at the galaxy that humanity now helped to guard. Ships from dozens of species moved through space on missions of exploration and aid. Former enemies worked side by side to heal the damage of centuries. Jin joined her at the viewport. "Any regrets?" he asked. Sarah shook her head. "We could have built an empire that lasted forever. Instead, we built something that can grow forever." Chen appeared beside them, holding a message pad. "Reports from the frontier worlds. The Kef explorers have found 3 more architect installations. The Gorth rescue teams have evacuated another damaged world. And the first class of the Galactic Academy has graduated with students from 47 different species." The Academy was Sarah's proudest achievement. Young beings from across the galaxy came to learn not just science and technology, but the art of working together. Humans taught the courses on cooperation and conflict resolution. Former council species taught advanced technology and administration. Everyone learned from everyone else. "What's the latest from the architect contact team?" Sarah asked. Minjun's voice came over the communication system. "They're ready for the next phase. Apparently, our success here has attracted attention from other galaxies. We may have visitors soon." Sarah smiled. Humanity had started as a species left to die on a single world. Now, they were the guardians of galactic peace, preparing to face challenges that spanned the universe itself. But they would not face those challenges alone. The galaxy was united now in ways the architects had only dreamed of. Every species brought its own strengths to the alliance. Every world contributed to the common good. "Do you think we'll be ready?" Jin asked. "For whatever comes next?" Sarah looked at her friends. Sarah, the scientist who had unlocked the secrets of the universe. Jin, the warrior, who had learned that the strongest victories came without battle. Chen, the diplomat who had turned enemies into allies. "We'll be ready," she said with confidence. "Because we're not just humans anymore. We're not just any one species. We're the children of the architects. All of us. Working together." In the depths of space, the evolved architects watched their children with pride. The test had been passed. The galaxy was safe in worthy hands. And the greatest adventures were still to come. The universe was vast and full of wonders. But it was no longer a cold and hostile place where species fought alone for survival. It had become home.